Did you recently go through a breakup with a dismissive avoidant and you want to know what's on their mind and on their heart? Are you left wondering what they're thinking, what they're feeling, and if they still care about you? It can be tough to go through a breakup with a DA, especially if you wondered where you stood with them all along, or if you didn't get the emotional support that you needed during the relationship. Watch this video to learn what your dismissive avoidant ex is going through now. And I'll even give insight in what they're feeling depending on if you broke up with them or if they broke up with you. Hi, I'm Katya Morozova. I'm a personal and relationship coach for people who are ready to heal their relationship wounds, become secure in their skin, and have healthy relationships. I'm also the founder of KatyaMorozova.me. I'm committed to helping people who have been wronged in their relationships to speak up for themselves and create life and relationships by their own design. If you're new to my channel and you haven't yet subscribed and you truly want to address the core of what it takes to heal, find yourself, and have healthy relationships, then definitely hit that subscribe button. I've been coaching for the last 8 years, helping people overcome debilitating patterns in their love lives so they can attract healthy partners and have lasting connections. Let's quickly profile the dismissive avoidant so that you have some clarity and certainty that you are with a dismissive avoidant and a bit of background information on where their relationship blueprint comes from. Dismissive avoidance exists on a spectrum, just like every attachment style. Let's talk about some of the patterns that the dismissive avoidant could have possibly grown up with, starting with the earliest attachment trauma that a dismissive avoidant, a high dismissive avoidant, might have experienced. They may have had a mother who was depressed or mentally ill and unable to take care of them. A depressed mother might not mirror a child's facial expressions because she doesn't have the energy to. For instance, meeting the child with a stoic face instead of mirroring emotions. If a dismissive avoidant experiences some of this early trauma, their ability to pick up on emotional cues from others may become stunted. This is where a dismissive avoidant's unresponsiveness, lack of affect, lack of emotional mirroring comes in. Another possibility is a dismissive avoidant grew up in a household where they are rewarded for performance. This is typically later in life. They might be rewarded for performance, but they're also reprimanded for showing emotion or dismissed for showing emotion. They may be rewarded growing up for doing things around the house, taking care of siblings, taking care of mom and dad, and there is no room for their needs and their emotions. They learn to suppress their needs and their emotions because it is too painful to show them, and because they are met with disregard or disdain. Out of all the attachment styles, the dismissive avoidant typically has the least amount of access to their emotions, which makes it more difficult for them to empathize with you and pick up on emotional cues, which is why it can be difficult to emotionally connect with a dismissive avoidant, especially a high dismissive avoidant. It's not that they don't want to be emotionally expressive with you, it's they simply don't have access to that level of emotion. As adults, a dismissive avoidant may be characterized as stable, reliable, accomplished, high achieving. They may spend more time alone, or they could also be very impressive and charismatic socially, but when it comes to having deep, intimate relationships, they are far and few in between. A high dismissive avoidant will typically be more isolated, while a low DA may not be characterized as someone who is socially isolated. Okay, now let's talk about what a dismissive avoidant feels during or after a breakup. I'm going to talk about this in two ways. The first way is if you broke up with them, and the second way is if they broke up with you. If you broke up with them, then I imagine that you probably had reached a breaking point with your dismissive avoidant. I would guess that you broke up with them because they weren't meeting your needs in one way or another. More than likely, they weren't meeting your emotional needs or your expectations for quality time. And now you're maybe having some regrets, you're missing them, and you're wondering where they're at and if they're thinking about you too. If you broke up with them and your dismissive avoidant felt blindsided by the breakup, then more than likely they will feel really hurt. and probably a bit shocked. If they were blindsided by the breakup, then the dismissive avoidant will likely want to understand why the breakup happened and if they could fix it. This is because the dismissive avoidant is typically very loyal. They genuinely want to make you happy and they want to fix problems. So in this situation, I would say there's still a chance. And the reason I say this is on the condition that if they were blindsided, they don't also feel betrayed. So if they feel blindsided and betrayed, they may want to deactivate entirely. But if they just feel blindsided and may need a little bit of time to process and understand, then I would really give them that space if this sounds like your situation. Now let's talk about if you broke up with the DA, and this is after months and maybe years of displeasure. So for instance, you've been letting them know how dissatisfied you are in the relationship and how they really can't meet your needs. In this case, the dismissive avoidant is most likely initially going to feel relief. Dismissive avoidants are especially sensitive to negative reinforcement, even if they don't show it, and they actually respond really well to positive reinforcement. So if at the end of your relationship, if they felt like there was just nothing that they could do and nothing was good enough for you and that they could never make you happy, after a breakup, they're more likely to give up and deactivate entirely. The more likely their self-esteem is tied up with their ability to perform and for being rewarded for performing or doing a good job for you, the more likely at this point they will deactivate if their core wound of not enough is triggered to an extreme. Because it's this core wound that actually really drives them to perform. So if they feel like they can't perform for you, then they will probably give up and consider it a lost cause. Now, if the dismissive avoidant was the one who broke up with you, how they feel is going to be a little bit different. They could have broken up with you for a few reasons. Either they felt betrayed, or they felt smothered by you, or they felt like they could never be enough for you. Or they built up resentment for you over time because of either rational reasons or because of their inability to communicate what they need. And resentment over time turns into disinterest, and this is really no matter what attachment style you are. There are of course more possible reasons, but these are some of the most common ones. In the case where there was real rather than imagined, let's say betrayal, smothering, or feeling like they are not good enough because of constant criticism that they're experiencing in a relationship, a dismissive avoidant will likely feel relief and begin to move on by burying themselves in work, activities, and relationships that make them feel good. In the case of imagined transgressions, a few things could happen. One common thing that happens for dismissive avoidance is that they have a delayed emotional reaction. So they may look like they're doing fine initially, and as time goes on and they have more time to process, and of course DAs need a lot of time and space to process big emotions, it will hit them like a ton of bricks, and sometimes this happens about 3 to 6 months down the road, where they realize what they lost or that they were the ones who made the mistake and actually deactivated a little bit too hard. Now sometimes this is more immediate, and this is especially if the dismissive avoidant realizes that they were deactivating to something unwarranted. So for instance, they got really triggered and reached a boiling point in the relationship, but then realized it wasn't really your fault or that they maybe had something to do with it. This typically happens when a dismissive avoidant has a higher level of self-awareness and ability to self-reflect and take responsibility for their actions. Now, whether you broke up with your dismissive avoidant or they broke up with you, the reality is that the dismissive avoidant still has feelings just like everyone else. It's just that the way that they process their feelings, the way that they feel their feelings, the speed at which they feel their feelings, and their comfort level around showing their emotions is different from other attachment styles because of their conditioning when they were raised, or because of early trauma that they experienced in life, and possibly because of reinforcement that they experienced in previous relationships. Now, I want to just leave you with this note, especially if you're anxious, preoccupied. Just because you understand someone's attachment style and now can more effectively meet their needs that doesn't mean that that makes for a healthy relationship. People are in different places in their development. A dismissive avoidant may have the best intentions and may really care about you, but still be incapable of meeting your needs, and would have to put effort in, would have to want to meet your needs, and would have to be committed to meeting your needs in order to make the relationship work. So take this video with a grain of salt. Your dismissive avoidant might come back to you, but you really want to consider if they are in a place where they are capable of meeting your needs and meeting you where you want to be met. As well, are you in a place where you are ready to compromise and meet their needs if you think that they are healthy enough of a partner to be with you, and if you think the two of you can have a healthy dynamic? These are some questions that you want to answer for yourself before committing to reconciliation. Are you struggling getting over your dismissive avoidant ex? Do you want to know if there's still a chance to reconcile with your dismissive avoidant partner? If so, one-on-one coaching could be a great fit for you. Definitely book a session where we can assess your unique relationship and situation. You can do that in the description below. Did you like this video? If you did, definitely give me a thumbs up. Now, if you want to watch more videos on the different attachment styles and how they behave during a breakup, then definitely subscribe to my channel, because that's what this channel is all about. Helping you recover and helping you understand your relationships. Also, I have a free gift for you. You can find it in the description. It is my 5-step guide on how to heal and find yourself again after a breakup. Next up is my video on the dismissive avoidant versus the fearful avoidant and how those two are different. So definitely stick around and watch that next. That's going to be right up here. Thanks so much for watching, and I will see you on the next one.